Welcome to the Can We Sit In Spotlight Series. I'm your host, Scott Nerney. Don't forget to subscribe. Click that little button so you'll get all of these sent to your inbox. And share a few with your friends. They would love to hear great things like Dawn Mattera Corsi, motivational speaker, coach. And I'm going to start with your background.
Sure, you bet. Well, I'm a native Rhode Islander. I was
Great.
born and raised in Providence, graduated from classical high school, and then went to University of Rhode Island to get my engineering degree. So
Okay.
yes, I'm a nerd. And then my senior year of college, I was working for a defense contractor in Middletown. And when I graduated, I transferred with them to Minneapolis, St. Paul. And that's where I stayed in that industry, working as an engineer in the defense industry for about 11 years. And even though I was very proud to be doing something that contributed to America and helped support our troops, etc., I hated the corporate politics. You know, the only time they're patting you on the back is to look for a soft place to put the knife. So I was done. And that's when I totally changed careers and went into the health and wellness industry. And that's where I really started with the public speaking, writing, coaching / mentoring.
So you found, using your experiences of good and bad bosses, good and bad settings, to help people with what to look out for, how to adjust to it, and what you can do better.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that those types of principles, the things that you just mentioned, they cross over any industry, whether it is health and wellness or medicine or whatever. We all have people in our lives that we all have had really good bosses. We've all had some really bad bosses.
Yep.
And what can we learn from that? And what can we do, more importantly, in a situation? Because I realize that sometimes you just can't jump ship. You need to stay in that particular position. And this is whether it's a paid position or a volunteer organization that you're a part of. Sometimes we just have to make the best of the situation and try to find a way out, but at least for the time being, what can we do today to make this situation something that we can tolerate and something that we can strive through?
So do you currently do public speaking or training for individuals or businesses?
Mostly I do public speaking and coaching and mentoring for organizations,
Okay.
whether it is in a corporate environment or I do a lot in nonprofit groups. For example, I've spoken for the American Cancer Society and March of Dimes. And actually when I started changing, when I swapped careers into the health and wellness industry, that's really when I started doing a lot of that, where I would either be a keynote speaker at an event or be the MC of the event. And I started writing for both internally for my company and externally, doing press releases. I did TV spots once a month when I was living in Colorado and Kansas City. And of course, mentoring people, whether it was in the corporate world or people that were trying to get better healthy, because I was in the health and wellness industry,
Sure.
how to help them reach those goals.
And did you find that folks really tuned into what you had to say and could really relate to what you're helping them get over?
Absolutely. And again, no matter what industry it is, these success principles are pretty much the same. And it's a matter of recognizing that and I feel like I'm putting on my Jack Canfield hat, because I do happen to be a certified trainer for Jack Canfield, that the Chicken Soup for the Soul series author, if you're not familiar with him. He also did a book several years ago called The Success Principles, and I'm one of his certified trainers. And so again, no matter what it is, if you want to lose weight, if you want to quit smoking, if you want to do better at your job in corporate America, it doesn't matter. The first thing we have to identify is that I am 100% responsible for my life. Yes, things happen that are not the best, but how we respond to them is everything. And that's just one principle.
Sure. And you've taken a lot of those learnings and wrote some books?
Yes.
Let's talk about those.
Absolutely, yes. In 2020, I wrote The Italian Art of Living, Your Passport to Hope, Happiness, and Your Personal Renaissance. And it did pretty well. It sold in 7 countries, and
Wow.
it was the #1 new release in 3 categories on Amazon, so that was pretty exciting. And it's really about going back to my heritage and my roots of being I'm a 2nd-generation Italian American, very proud of that. And I look at all of the struggles that my ancestors overcame to be where I am today, and I want to honor that, and I am forever grateful for that. And I look at things like their spirit of perseverance, how they would life gives you lemons, make limoncello, and so that's really what this book is about. And then most recently, just a few months ago, The Keys to Authenticity with Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul. And this was super exciting to work with Jack Canfield.
Sure.
And I know you're not surprised that it was a bestseller because it's Jack Canfield, not me. Jack Canfield. But I was honored to be given the Editor's Choice Award for my contribution to the book. So that was amazing.
And you got first name.
Yes, maybe it's because it's a D, Dawn, and maybe they did it alphabetical. I don't know.
No, I think he's giving you credit.
Thank you.
That's
I appreciate
fantastic.
that. Thank you.
So, Dawn, how long have you been doing this?
Yes. As far as the writing, speaking, and coaching, I started back in the early 90s, but I haven't been doing it continuously since then, and that's because life happened, just like everybody. There's a period of a few years where I moved 4 times, I got laid off twice, got divorced, and I faced some of the most difficult emotional and financial challenges of my life. Now, it'd be easy to just have a permanent pity party and say, oh, woe is me, how terrible this is, but that's only going to lead to despair and depression, and I did not want that to happen. And I thought, okay, Dawn, all these years you've been telling people that they can do it and just set your eye on a goal. Well, it was time to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. And also I reached back into my heritage, and again connecting with that, my ancestors coming here from Italy to America and all the struggles that they did and still had those great attitudes. And so I put those principles into action and then got back on the path. And then again, when I wrote the book in it was 2020, yeah, that year, 2020, when this book came out, that it restarted and reignited this path, getting back into the public speaking and the writing and the mentoring.
And what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, and I think to quote Kelly
Beautiful.
Clarkson maybe. But a lot of what you can lean back on is to say, someone, I've had a rough organizational switch, or look what I've done, and you can, that really adds credibility.
That's right, absolutely, no matter what the situation is. And I'm not trying to minimize people that go through horrendous, heartbreaking struggles that I don't want to bring up. Sure. I realize that, but even in the darkest of hours, there is, my favorite Italian quote is, or proverb is, as long as there is as long as there is life, there is hope. And I truly believe that no matter how dark it is, there is always hope. And I love how that's the Rhode Island state motto.
Yeah, absolutely. Fits in well.
It does.
Great.
See, I'm meant to be here.
I think so. I'm glad you came back.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about, in your website I'm going to read here, it says, you mentioned close the gap between dreaming and doing.
Right.
So talk to me about that.
Yes. Well, I'm sure we've all heard people that say, someday I want to learn to play the piano. Someday I want to go to Italy. Someday I want to reconnect with my long-lost cousins. Someday never comes. So we need to make sure that we do something to bridge that gap between the dreaming and actually making it happen. And I know that for one thing, we procrastinate because we think someday, oh, I'll do that next week, next month. Well, here's the thing. It's later than we think. and so we need to take action now if we want to have a life that's full and rich and full of purpose and passion and joy. So you don't have to know the entire staircase. You only need to know the next step. What is something I can do today that's going to help me reach that goal, that ultimate goal?
It's interesting that you say it that way because I was in corporate America for 23 years.
Yep.
And some people would say kicked to the curb. Others would say there was a merger and, severanced out.
Right.
And I sat home one day, and it was probably 2-3 days after I was told this was going to happen. I had 3 months before we were going to shut down.
Right.
And I thought to myself, it was just like an epiphany. I said, wow, soon it will be someday. And I said those exact words,
Wow.
thinking that all the stuff that I said, someday I want to, I will have the benefit of early retirement and be able to do that. And I have. And it's so rewarding, and it gives so much life.
Right. That's right.
It's
Absolutely.
amazing.
I love it.
So tell me one thing, the viewers that are out there watching right now,
Yeah.
one habit they could start today that would make their life easier in the future.
Wow, there's so many. I'd say one thing that everybody can do today to make their life, I don't know about easier, because life's never easy.
Sure.
But to make it better is to, I would say, practice gratitude. Whether you do it every morning before you start your day or every night before you go to bed, what are 3 things that you're thankful for? And it could be something as simple as, I'm thankful for this cup of coffee. But what are 3 things? Because when we have an attitude of gratitude, it changes our perspective. Whereas if we fall into those the pity parties and say, oh, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong, that's how we look at the whole world. But if we can take the time to be thankful for something, that sets our attitude up that, things are okay. Yeah, things are tough, but I can do this because look at all these good things that are happening to me. And then that gives us the courage to go on and achieve that dream that we have.
It's kind of like watching cat videos instead of the evening news.
There are times when before I go to bed, my husband and I will watch something. I'll say, okay, I'll be there in a minute. And I have to go, I'll type in funny puppy videos and watch that before I go to bed.
Absolutely. So I do have to ask, one thing that you mentioned in the biography that you sent us, Gladiator lessons. So tell us a little bit about that as we close.
Absolutely. We love to travel. And not just, there's a difference between being a tourist and a traveler. A tourist just sees places. A traveler experiences them. And that's when you really get to know the people and you go to off the beaten path places. And we love exploring and doing that. So whenever we are going to someplace new, I will type in literally these words, unusual things to do in whatever city we're going to. And that's how we came upon going to I found the Gladiator lessons. So it's actually an organization that's educational. They travel around the world doing these exciting demonstrations with their gladiators, showing all the mock fight scenes, and they teach about the Roman Empire and the life of a gladiator. So this place was about a mile away from the Colosseum, and they took us on the tour of the small museum they had, and then we went out to this like a courtyard that was sand, gravel, and then stadium seating on the side. And then our instructor comes out. Now, if you ever saw that movie with Brad Pitt where he plays the Greek god, I think it was Troy, that's kind of what our gladiator instructor looked like. The muscles, the six-pack, and he has the sword, and he's showing us everything fancy. And then he would teach us about how to use the sword, how to use the shield, how to use the net, believe it or not. Then it's time to practice. Now, don't worry, the sword is wood. So we have our shield, wood, wooden sword, but the helmet is very real. It's brass. That thing weighs about 20 pounds, very limited field of vision. So I'm first. And now remember, I'm a lover, not a fighter. So I'm just kind of tapping this handsome gladiator. And it's like, all right, well, that was very underwhelming. Then it's my husband's turn. So he gets his wooden sword and his wooden shield, and he starts doing the same thing with this Apollo. And so you can see the gladiator, he kind of rolls his eyes, and just as he turns his head thinking, oh man, this is awful, my husband took advantage, grabbed the shield, lunged forward, the gladiator goes on his back, my husband takes the sword and says, aha, you're dead. It's like that old adage that, what is it, age and treachery beats youth and skill. So watch out for us old people.
Well worth the price of admission.
Absolutely.
And I think the next 7 or 8 people in line thought, that's the move I'm going to try.
Right.
So I do want to close with,
yes.
Where can people get information about you?
Yes, the easiest way is through my website, www.yourdolcevita.com.
Great. And they can find all information about you,
Yes.
information about your books,
Yes.
your biography. And I think I was there. It was a great read. And it's great to connect with you. And I wish you a
Thank you.
lot of luck in,
Thank you.
and many more future books as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.